Capitol Report is a production of Senate Media Services.
Minnesota has jumped to the front of the line with renewable energy goals. The governor signed the bill. Plus, key lawmakers make the case for paid family and medical leave and to legalize sports betting. Stay tuned for this and more on this week's Capitol Report. Welcome to this week's program. I'm Shannon Loehrke. Tuesday, Governor Tim Walz signed into law House File 7, a bill requiring Minnesota utilities to produce electricity using completely carbon-free sources by the year 2040.
When I hear people say you're moving too fast, we can't move too fast when it comes to addressing climate change. We can't move quickly enough to address climate change. There'll be a time to extend that to other things, but this idea of waiting is a luxury we do not have.
We have known for decades, and most pointedly since 2007, that we have a climate crisis, and we need to take immediate action to address it. Unchecked climate pollution really threatens Minnesota's future, from our walleyes to our maples to our wheat crops. And to preserve our state's natural assets and to give our future generations a livable climate, we need bold climate action. And today, we're taking an important step, putting our state on a path to 100% clean energy by 2040.
And when we think about our kids and what they would be like when they're trying to take their kids camping, if we're looking at the boundary waters, scientists tell us right now that if we don't change, if we don't act, if we don't do dramatic things like we're doing today, that the forest will be gone. We won't have the types of trees that we have right now, fir trees in the boundary waters. The loons will be gone. The moose will be gone. This won't be the Minnesota that we know and love. But we have good news. Today's bill is the strongest action that Minnesota has taken to date on climate change.
Reductions in carbon emissions that we're making here, we're looking at taking over 21 million tons of carbon out of Minnesota's air every year, starting in 2040. That's a substantial savings. It's not just the carbon savings for us, it's the example that it's going to set for other states around the country.
The Senate passed the measure on a vote of 34-33, following a lengthy debate.
It takes 5,000 solar panels to produce 1 megawatt of power, according to its nameplate. It takes about 10 acres of land for those 5,000 solar panels. So if we were to believe we could use solar to meet that demand, that would require 787,000 acres for solar panels, Mr. President. That's 160 square miles. Wind turbine produces about 2.7 megawatts of power. So again, with that 78,000 plus megawatts usage, that would take over 31,000 wind generators. Mr. President, do you know how many wind generators we currently have in Minnesota? It's approximately 2,400. 2,400. And we would need 31,000.
Members, young people are watching us. Whenever I go to the schools in my district, they drill me. They say, this is about my future. What are you doing about it? Why haven't you taken any action on this matter?
And so we're left with this inferior product, the blackout bill, that is sorely lacking in affordability, is sorely lacking in reliability, and leaves much to be desired for bringing as many clean energy technologies to Minnesota as possible.
And I want you to know, members of the minority, it's evident that you don't like the bill, and I hear you. I'm not incapable of understanding what you're saying. I'm just guessing that in 5 years and 10 years and 15 years, the people of Minnesota will be glad that we passed it, which we are preparing to do. And you have my commitment to continue working on the issues of climate and environment along with everyone else to try to address what's really going on here, which is that we have not dealt with climate change effectively as a state and as a country and as a planet, frankly. And the things that they told us were going to happen 30 years ago are happening right now. And the cost to be discussed here is the cost that we're already paying. The cost in terms of the damage to property and person, the cost in terms of the anxiety that we're creating in younger Minnesotans asking, what are you going to do about it? And the cost that we don't yet know if we don't take action.
30 years ago, President Bill Clinton signed into law the Family and Medical Leave Act, which allows qualifying employees to take job-protected, unpaid leave for family or medical reasons. According to a recent article in Axios, 40% of workers are not eligible, and lower-paid workers who do qualify often can't afford unpaid time off. Senator Alice Mann is chief author of a bill that would bring paid family and medical leave to Minnesota, and she joins me now in the studio. Welcome.
Thank you.
The Paid Family and Medical Leave Bill is Senate File 2, House File 2, a signal from the DFL about the importance of passing this legislation. Why is it important?
Yeah, so great question. So the time is now for paid family leave, right? We have 11 other states and DC who have already passed it and are starting up their programs. And we have learned so much from them. And we know that paid family leave has so many benefits for everybody in the community. It provides financial stability for our working families, obviously, right? It decreases infections in children and newborns, decreases ear infections, pneumonia, GI infections, decreases hospitalizations, decreases clinic visits at a time when our healthcare system is so overwhelmed, right? We get to keep our babies at home at a time where a child care crisis is going on in this state. And the other thing that it helps is that when we have our elderly folks, our aging parents and grandparents, they don't have a place to go, right? We have a long-term care crisis in this country as well. And now this bill allows people to stay home to take care of their family members as well. So it's going to impact every sector of society, from healthcare to childcare, and most importantly, it's good for business, right? We see that places that have paid family leave, their workers take the leave that they need, which is oftentimes less than what they're allowed to take, because it's hard to stay at home at partial wage replacement. And then they go back to work. And in places where we don't have paid family leave, people leave the workplace and do not return to work. And so in the long term, this is really going to affect our workforce shortage crisis that we currently are seeing as well. So again, this bill is going to impact all sectors of our society. It's good for our babies, it's good for our moms, it's good for our families, it is good for the economy.
Well, and I want to hone in a little bit. You outlined a bunch of medical things there, and you are new to the Senate. Welcome to the Senate, but not new to lawmaking. You served a term in the House where you were co-author of this bill when it passed in 2020. But you were also a physician. And so for just a moment, if you could put your physician's hat on and explain why, in particular, from that point of view, this is a good bill. Yeah, so as far as medicine goes and healthcare, this is an incredible bill, honestly. Again, what we talked about just with the babies, right? Ear infections, GI, pneumonias, hospitalization, clinic visits. At one point in time, Children's Hospital had 30 children waiting in the emergency room for a hospital bed, right? That's the current state of our healthcare system. And so to decrease that burden is going to be very significant. This has also shown to increase maternal mental health, right? Depression is one of our most costly diagnoses. This helps that. It helps with breastfeeding. We know that breastfeeding helps healthy moms, healthy babies. This will impact the duration of breastfeeding. And again, we have data to prove all those things. So, and lastly, just maternal health in general, right? We're seeing in America especially, the maternal morbidity and mortality rates have doubled in the last 2 decades. The rest of the world, those numbers are going down. But our moms are not safe when they become pregnant in America. And so to have a time period where they are able to get to the doctor when they need to without fear of losing their job, it impacts maternal health significantly. And again, we've seen that happen in the rest of the world, and we've seen it happen in the states that have enacted this law. And so from a health perspective, it's quite important. You mentioned this, a dozen states have enacted some form of paid family medical leave. Speaker Hortman mentioned that here in Minnesota, because of our enormous budget surplus, we may be able to fund much of the program up front, and therefore it could begin earlier than other states where there was several years before it could achieve the funding necessary. So assuming that happens, what do you believe is the earliest that this program could come online?
Yeah, so what other states have done is that you need time to set up the program, right, to set up the infrastructure of the program. And on top of that, you need to fund the program. And so, again, other states, they will fund the program for about a year before you are eligible to receive benefits. With our surplus, we can avoid that initial year of funding without benefits, and we can start funding the program and getting benefits on the same day. We still need that time to set up the infrastructure for the program, and that can take 2 to 3 years. It's quite an undertaking, but again, we've seen it being done very successfully across the country, so we have every ingredient to do it just as well, if not better, here in Minnesota.
So essentially, the state is going to create an insurance program similar to the Unemployment Insurance Trust Fund. Employers and employees will pay into this, and then people will use that pool of money at a qualifying event to be able to take this benefit. Why a state-run plan as opposed to going with the private insurance option that the state would maybe just require employers to buy? Why this way and not the other way?
Yeah. So only one state has essentially privatized this program, and that's Connecticut. And what Connecticut is seeing is that their costs to run the program are about twice what other states cost, because there has to be state oversight of the insurance companies, and they also have to be still in charge of all the appeals processes. And so it's actually much more expensive, we're seeing, to privatize the program. The other thing is that we have private insurance now that provides these benefits. And in Minnesota, 13% of people have access to paid family leave. So the private market that we have simply is not working. Right? The other thing with private insurance is that it is the discretion of the insurance company whether to provide or deny benefits. And we see that unfortunately, it is within those discretions that inequities lie. And so the fact that women and people of color have significantly decreased access to any of paid benefit leaves in the state, I don't want to say it's by design, but we want to make sure with this bill that we are not leaving anybody behind. And so that's why leaning on the experiences of the other states, having a state-run program is significantly more successful.
What are some examples of qualifying events, and then how is it verified? How can the state ensure that the benefit would not be abused?
Yeah, so again, in other states, we're not seeing abuse of the system because it is very difficult for people to stay at home with 60% of their pay. Right? And to qualify, you have to have something significant. So a pregnancy, of course, new baby. This can be an adopted baby or a foster baby that you need time to bond with. All of those qualify for 12 weeks. And you can only use that 12-week one time in a year. The other qualifying benefit is a significant medical event. So if I have a stroke and I cannot work, I can take 12 weeks for that. But in order for me to qualify, I need medical documentation, right? So I can't just walk into my work on a Tuesday and say, I'm going to take 12 weeks today, thanks, right? You have to go through significant documentation in order to qualify. And so for all those reasons, fraud is just not something we're seeing in the 11 other states.
Just quickly before we go, is this program just for full-time workers? Is it prorated for part-time workers? Are there any workers who don't qualify, like independent contractors? Is this going to be for everyone or just most people?
So this is for everyone. You have to make a certain amount of money in a year's period to qualify, meaning that you are engaged in the workforce, right? So if you make that money, whether you're part-time or full-time, if you make that amount, then you qualify. Independent contractors can opt into the program. They can pay that insurance premium as well and take their leave when they need it. So again, we're working really hard to make sure that it's for absolutely everyone.
Senator Alice Mann, welcome to the Senate.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
Other bills signed into law recently include one that makes Juneteenth a state holiday in Minnesota.
This will be a day of celebration. It'll be a day of a state holiday, but it'll be a day of educating folks why this is important, why folks worked hard at this. And again, in Minnesota, we're not afraid to tell all of our history. All of our history.
I'm the great-granddaughter of a traditional black midwife, granddaughter of sharecroppers, and I'm the daughter of a mother and father who grew up picking cotton in the fields of Mississippi and Alabama, having their labor exploited. It is not lost on me that I am in fact my ancestors' wildest dreams. Celebrating Juneteenth allows us to celebrate a more inclusive freedom. As Frederick Douglass said, what to a slave is the 4th of July. And so it's an opportunity for us also to reflect on the fact that there is a promise that was made to us that all are created equal, that we are still working to attain.
And another, referred to as the Crown Act, that prohibits discrimination based on natural hair texture or style.
With every election cycle, the Minnesota legislature looks more like Minnesota. And it matters that there are 3 black women who now serve in the Minnesota Senate. And it matters because when we are at the table, things change.
Right. But in 2023, we knew that this was the time for Minnesota to join 19 other states to say that we are protecting people facing discrimination, and we want more people to show up as their authentic selves. Yes. With this law, we are saying that we will not allow hair discrimination as a proxy for race discrimination. That's right. We are also saying that it is perfectly fine to show up as you are. Black children, and especially young black girls, have been prevented from fully participating in school because of a lack of understanding about their hair. The Crown Act helps us move closer to a society where all children are affirmed.
I do have 2 sons that have their hair in dreads and locks. And though they sometimes laugh at me when they look at my hair when I say I'm going to get a haircut, and they say, that is a hair massage, you're not going to get a haircut. I then remind them that this is their future. But it's because I want to make sure that no matter how they decide to wear their hair, that they have an opportunity to be judged on their skills and qualifications, and they should not be discriminated against.
Bipartisan proposals to legalize sports betting in Minnesota have been floating around the legislature the last few years, but none have yet crossed the finish line. Senator Jeremy Miller has a proposal that he believes could garner bipartisan support, and he joins me now in the studio. Welcome.
Hi, Shannon. Thanks for having me.
Previous efforts to legalize sports betting in the Senate were led by 2 lawmakers who are no longer here. We had Senator Roger Chamberlain and Senator Carla Bigham, one Republican, one DFLer. What prompted you to put on the so-called sports betting mantle?
So Senator Chamberlain and Senator Bigham both did a great job of promoting sports betting in the Senate. What folks may not know is I've long been a big advocate for legalizing sports betting here in Minnesota, and I was very involved with that process, although it just be behind the scenes.
Okay. For those who haven't been following the issue, it's important to note that all of Minnesota's neighboring states have legalized sports wagering. Canada also does. In your view, what is holding up the efforts here in Minnesota?
So I think it's been a lack of communication between the stakeholders, and that's why I'm proposing the Minnesota Sports Betting Act to bring all the stakeholders together. In the proposal that I'm putting forward, it's good for the tribes, it's good for the horse racing tracks, it's good for Minnesota's professional sports teams, and most importantly, it's good for the Minnesotans who want to bet on sports by giving them plenty of access and plenty of opportunities to do so.
So the holdup has been finding a formula that makes all of the stakeholders feel like they're getting what they want.
Yeah, and based on what I'm hearing from folks, not only in the district that I represent, but all across the state of Minnesota, there's a huge appetite to legalize sports betting here in Minnesota. And with that big appetite, there's going to be plenty to go around for everyone. I think there's enough for all of the stakeholders to get a piece of the action.
Well, so let's break it down because it's sort of complex, but not once you kind of understand it. Your plan would allow the tribes and the 2 horse racing tracks and each professional sports team to offer on-site sports betting. So for example, if you were at a casino playing blackjack, or if you were at the horse races, you know, betting on the ponies, while the Vikings were playing, you could also bet on the Vikings while you were on site. Is that right?
That's correct. Basically, it would allow the tribes, the horse racing tracks, and the professional sports teams to have an on-site sports book where they can bet on sports, whether it's the Minnesota Vikings or the Kansas City Chiefs. It doesn't have to be a local sports team. It could be a baseball game or a hockey game or a basketball game and so on.
And is it just like U.S. sports, or can you also bet on like international sports, like if you're a huge fan of Manchester Football Club?
Well, it would be up to the vendor and the tribe, the track, and the sports team, but you would be able to bet on those matches as well.
So your plan would also allow mobile licenses, which I think are what a lot of people are interested in because they don't necessarily want to go on site. They want to just have their phone, and that's where all the growth has been. People can place bets wherever they are. So what does that piece look like? What does the mobile piece look like?
So you're absolutely right. The biggest demand for sports betting is mobile or online betting. And what you've seen in other states that have legalized sports betting is the demand is on the mobile device or on the online device. That's where most of the bets take place. So under the proposal that I'm putting forward, it would allow each of the tribes to offer mobile betting, and then it would also allow those tribes to enter into a strategic partnership with a professional sports team or a horse racing track to just provide more access to people. For example, there might be folks who are interested in watching professional sports but may not be interested in going to a casino and playing slot machines. So it would give access to more people for the tribes if they ended up partnering with a professional sports team or with the horse racing track. And then it also would give the horse racing track or professional sports team a little piece of that mobile action.
So then would they split some of the money that's earned because it's a partnership?
Yes, and that will not be described in the legislation. The legislation simply allows them to enter into a partnership, and then the details of that partnership would be worked out between the stakeholders, so between the tribe and either the horse racing track or the sports team. And that's why I think this type of legislation or something very similar could get the bipartisan support needed to pass the legislature this year, because it brings all the stakeholders together, encourages them to work together, and ultimately has a great product for the people of Minnesota who want to bet on sports.
Now, I remember with the proposal that Senator Chamberlain had last year, it would have required somebody to go to the brick and mortar to set up the mobile account. Is that still a part of this, or is this different?
That's yet to be determined. My preference is they would not have to go on site, but that was part of the proposal last year. And again, that's why it's important to bring all the stakeholders together, get them around a table, and let's talk through these details and put forward the best plan that can get bipartisan support but results in the best opportunity for Minnesotans to bet on sports here in Minnesota legally.
So the other question I have is about the mobile device, because there are some big apps out there. There's FanDuel and DraftKings. Are the tribes then partnering with the app? Are they developing their own app? Or how does that piece work with the online gambling, the mobile gambling?
Yeah, they would very likely partner with an already established vendor like DraftKings or FanDuel or BetMGM. You can go right down the list, but there are larger vendors that already offer sports betting, and it is most likely that whoever has mobile sports betting would partner with one of those established vendors.
And finally, the last piece we need to talk about is that you propose for temporary licenses to be available for on-site betting when major sports events come to the state. Like if we were to get the Super Bowl again, or a PGA tournament, or the Final Four, or like something that's bringing people from all over into our state, you would like a temporary license for on-site betting for those particular events. And why is that?
Because it really helps enhance the fan experience. If we're lucky enough to get a Super Bowl or we have PGA Tour events that come to Minnesota, it just helps the fans get more engaged in what's going on in the live event, and that's why I think it's important to provide a temporary license for on-site sports betting when those major events do come to the state of Minnesota.
There's a lot of numbers that get thrown around about how much other states are earning from their legalized sports betting. In your proposal, you're suggesting that the revenue that comes in is divided according to this formula: 1/4 tax relief for charities, 1/4 for mental health and problem gambling, 1/4 for major sporting events, and 1/4 for grants to support youth sports. And so can you break that down? For example, tax relief for charities, major sporting events, how would that money be funneled exactly?
Sure. So 1/4 of the revenue that came into the state would go to charities for tax relief for charitable gambling. So charities already offer charitable gambling. They're taxed at a high rate, too high of a rate in my opinion. So I think we should provide our charities some relief so they can get more money out in their communities. Problem gambling or mental health is another one that is an issue that we want to make sure that we provide some funding for. Youth sports, it's important. If people are going to be betting on sports, I think a portion of those proceeds that come to the state should go to help promote youth sports. And finally, major sporting events. So what we see is, you'll see Indianapolis, for example, they get a lot of major sporting events. Georgia gets a lot of major sporting events. Well, those states have a fund established to help bring in those major sporting events. And I'd like to do the same thing here in Minnesota so we can compete for more Super Bowls, more Final Fours, Big Ten championships, Olympic events, those types of things, to bring those big events to Minnesota so the state of Minnesota can benefit from them.
Senator Jeremy Miller, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
The Senate DFL outlined several consumer protection proposals.
We feel like there is a backlog of things that Minnesotans have been clamoring for that we are going to address urgently. This week in the Commerce and Consumer Protection Committee, we will be hearing bills to address catalytic converter theft and also to cut down on nuisance robocalls. And lastly, to address drug price gouging in the state of Minnesota and protect people from rapacious behaviors by pharmaceuticals.
When I'm not a legislator, I'm a physician, so I know firsthand how difficult it is for patients to afford the medicine they need to survive and thrive. SF 168 would create a prescription drug affordability board and would work to stop prescription drug price gouging.
I keep hearing from people. Just last week I heard from another couple who said that their undercar parking garage had been broken into, and in 3 minutes, because it's all, they got video of it, 3 minutes they got at least 2 converters off of cars, which can be a $3,000 expense for somebody, a huge hassle, and there are solutions to this.
Join us again next week as we delve into more topics affecting Minnesotans. I'm Shannon Loehrke, and on behalf of all of us at Senate Media Services, thanks for watching.